Good evening, everyone. Tonight is May 6th. It is 7 p.m. This is the Londonderry Town Council meeting. Let's all rise for Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's remain standing. I'd like to just have a moment of silence for our veterans that have served our country. If it wasn't for those vets, we wouldn't be here today. So let's have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. With that, we are going to go into non-public. So I'll accept a motion to enter under non-public session for the consideration of legal advice provided by legal counsel under RSA 91A:3-2L, and this will be a roll call vote. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Again, roll call vote starting down there.
Yes.
I, Sean.
Sorry.
I state your name.
Oh, Sean Faber.
Thank you.
I, Ted Combs.
I, Chad Franz.
I, Ron Dunn.
Hi, John Farrell.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into non-meeting. We'll be back in a bit.
Non-public.
All right, thank you. Non-public. All right, so with that, I'll accept the motion to exit or come out of non-public session under RSA 91A:3, Section 2L.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second roll call vote, starting down there.
I, Sean Faber.
Aye, Tech Holmes.
I, Chad Franz.
Hi, Ron Dunn.
I, John Farrell.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have exited non-public meeting. So with that, we're in public comment. We'll start
I have some
off.
things I'd like to start off with, please.
Councilor Farrell.
So here under public comment, I want to discuss a couple of things. I'd like to discuss the process for preparing budget, warrant articles, deliberative sessions. So when the council prepares a budget, what the council does is it goes through several months of going through the budget. The budget is presented by the town manager and by staff. The council then moves the budget to the deliberative session. Once moved to the deliberative session, the voters move the budget to the warrant. The voters adopt the budget, not the town council. At no time does the town council ever actually vote to adopt the budget. We just manage the process. As an example of some of the things that were brought up here in previous meetings, there have been school board employees who've had school board members. So people who have worked for the school and possibly their spouse may have been on the school board. There have been town councilors that have had family work for the town. And these type of processes were reviewed by legal counsel over and over again, reviewed by the Secretary of State's office, because believe it or not, we are not the only town that has a town councilor serving with a town clerk and it being their spouse. There are a few of them around the state. But in my opinion, if you're going to serve in a state higher office, you're held to a higher standard. This requires you to do your homework and not to make statements with no merit. If someone believes laws are being violated, they should contact the New Hampshire Attorney General and they should file charges. Now what I'd like to go
excuse
into-
me, sir. Folks, I'd ask for the room to be quiet while other people are speaking, please. I do ask your comments. If you want to have conversations, to please take it outside. I will offer that same respect to you when you're up at the mic speaking during public comment. Please continue.
We are a nonpartisan board serving 26,000 people of Londonderry. This year, I'd like to see the council address some of the following things. Obviously, there's the water issue that we have to deal with. And, and as we all hope that St. Cobain will do the right thing, we can't depend on them doing the right thing. We need to proceed forward and figure out the whole water issue. Some of you may have noticed that there's a housing crisis here in New Hampshire. So in a recent Wall Street Journal article, they ranked the top housing markets in the country. It was very interesting. I have the example here. I'll pass it around the council. Rockford, Illinois was first. Springfield, Massachusetts was 11th. Burlington, Vermont was 12th. Portland, Maine was 10th. The number 7 ranked most volatile housing market is Manchester, Nashua. Many of you have probably seen that there's a housing crisis here and that people are starting to look at accessory dwellings. You're hearing probably talk more of not necessarily, the parents moving into an addition, but maybe the kids moving into the addition in the parents' house. And what we're seeing is in front of the ZBA, we're starting to see some of these come forward where they're trying to look at splitting lots. I would suggest that the town council take the time to look at this and recommend to the town manager's office that we need to start looking at how do we work to prepare an ordinance so that each one of these aren't going to the ZBA and we lay out a structure for what accessory dwelling units may look like or what additions may look like. When we bought all the open space and everything, we reduced the build out of the town from 45,000 to 32,000. We're at 26 to 27. We really need to be proactive in this area. Some of you may have noticed that there's a healthcare crisis. We're up to $41,000 for a family plan at the for the town employees. We need to start thinking about what we're going to do around this. We're already starting on the town side to go out and look at, get consultants and start to figure out what to do. And every one of us faces this at home too, but we have to start paying much more attention to this. What I really see is that we need to address the needs of the community. Some of the examples may be speeds on state roads. I think we need to relook at the Wyndham tax policy for the elderly. Maybe it's 85 plus years. I don't know what the right number is, but in Wyndham, I think you reach 80 and you don't pay taxes anymore. What does that look like? What's the cost of that? And I think we need to relook at that. Medical response times. A few years ago, we put together a defibrillator warrant article where we got defibrillators in every single town car, and we're getting everybody trained on how to use them so that we can reduce our response time. Development agreements. We see that these have come back to light, and that the council is working through development agreements with several of the developers on how to protect the community. We probably need to take another look at those and see if we're getting those right. The big thing here in town is we need to eliminate political issues and focus on community priorities, safety of the youth and children, and the needs of our aging population. Gentlemen, what I'm asking all of you is these are some of the things that I'd like to try to accomplish this year. I'd like to see us focus on the greater good and the needs of the community as a whole. I think we also need to direct our legislative representatives to report to the town council and the community what are they doing to enhance or help and create positivity for Londonderry. And if we could try to do this by, I think the second meeting is in June on the 17th, if we could try to do something like that, that would be just a great way to go into the summer thinking about what is it we're going to do so that we can get ready for budgets. Last, let's talk about the word transparency that keeps coming up. The scientific term is the quality of allowing light to pass through so that objects behind can be distinctly seen. Political term, open and honest without secrets. As I've stated before, I've been doing this for 25 years. I really wish someone could tell me what the secrets are because I'm dying to know. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so Municipal Town Clerks Week, which is this week, May 5th through 11th. We do have a proclamation from our governor that I'd like Vice Chairman Combs please read.
Yes, thank you. The state of New Hampshire, by His Excellency Christopher T. Sununu, Governor, a proclamation in the year of our Lord 2024, Municipal Clerks Week, May 5th through the 11th, 2024. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of our local government that exists throughout the world. And the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at our levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas municipal clerks serve as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of Municipal Clerk through participation and education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of the Municipal Clerk and thank them for the vital services they perform, as well as their exemplary dedication to the communities they present. Now, therefore, I, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor of the State of New Hampshire, do hereby proclaim May 5th through 11th, 2024, as Municipal Clerks Week in the State of New Hampshire, and call this to the attention of all citizens. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the set seal of the State of New Hampshire to be affixed this 30th day of April 2024. Christopher T. Sununu, Governor of New Hampshire.
Thank you. So before I call the clerk and a town clerk and a couple members of her department up. A couple things I heard from this proclamation. Professional link between citizens and local government bodies. Neutrality, impartiality, equal service to all. Strive to improve. Vital services, exemplary dedication. Those are, in my opinion, pale in comparison to what the Londonderry Town Clerk's office provides to our community. So with that, I would like to call our town clerk, and I think we have Deb here and some others from the clerk's office to come up and receive this recognition. And if possible, if we could please, the council could have a picture with you. But I would like to just give a round of applause just for their hard work.
We didn't know this is incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, we appreciate it.
Yes.
Everybody smile. I like that the dog registration's behind you guys. It looks really adorable. All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Again. Thank you, everyone. So with that, I'd like to call the town clerk back up, please, before you sit down, for a town clerk update before we go into public comment. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having us tonight and for this little town clerk minute update. And Deb DeRoches is here with me. Carol Murphy's in the back. And as you can see from the beautiful little program that we have, that'll just be a couple minutes. And thank you to our Cheerston that made this part of it possible for us. We just wanted to give everyone a quick update about what's going on with our dog registrations in town. And a lot of people aren't aware, but we have 5,500 registered dogs in town. I need to correct myself because we wish they were all registered, but they're not. But we are down to about 1,600 of that 5,500. But people and all of our residents need to realize, and Cheerston did this little thing, there's one dog, but there's the 1,600 that are still unregistered in our town. And what we're asking of everyone out there that's listening and our counselors is that please, if you can help us to spread the word that if you no longer have your dog, sadly, if the dog is passed, even if you've moved, let our office know, because then we can get that number down. And our goal needs to be legally that every dog is registered for all of our protection. So that's the biggest thing that we're trying to ask everyone to help us with. And Deb, next slide.
We just wanted to let everybody know that we held our third annual rabies clinic this year. We had a wonderful turnout. It was on Sunday, April 14th. The residents were able to have their dogs and cats vaccinated for $20 and register their dog if they needed to at the town clerk's office. We want to give a special thanks to Dr. Mirna, the owner of the Londonderry Animal Clinic, and the many volunteers that came with her who gave their time and services to make the clinic a really big success. We raised over $1,000 for charity, and that's because of her constant coming in year after year and donating the product and everything for the rabies. We'd also like to give a shout out to the businesses in our community that donated for the free raffle. We had a really awesome free raffle this year. We had Sit Means Sit, Poochie's Dog Grooming, Mr. Steer, Prosciutto's, Pets Plus, Honey Dog, Coach Stop Restaurant, and Rap City. And we hope to have next year's even bigger and better. We're trying to get more of like maybe a dog expo and have some fun, maybe a food truck or two or whatever.
Pictures of
We
the
want to do a
dogs.
bigger thing. We're going bigger
Yeah,
and we're going to go
bigger.
big. So
Yeah,
we'll
and,
see what happens.
Little shout out to our Carol in the back,
Yeah.
because she literally went to all of these businesses, and we couldn't approach everyone, but everyone that she did couldn't say no. And they were really excited to be part of this and to support the community. And this is just, you're aware of this, it's on our website, but this little sweetheart was in just last week, and she is helping us to promote the registration of our dog. She came in with her mom, and this just gives you a quick overview of how much it costs to register a dog. And if you're a senior citizen, as we're kind of getting close to there, that it's only $3 to register your dog. So it's not a big expense. The big expense comes in, and that's that second part there, if you don't register your dog. It is the law. April 30th was the deadline for registering your dog, but the state is really gracious about it, and they give everyone May as a grace month, so that there's no fines, there's no penalties if you pay by the end of May. If you haven't registered your dog into June, then by law, and honestly, we don't like doing it, but by law, that word civil forfeiture that's right in the middle there, for every dog that's not registered, it's $25 plus your monthly late fees of $1, and it adds up quick. There's no need for it. If you can't get your rabies shot or different things, let us know. We're willing to work with everyone. That's why we're there. But it is an RSA that we need to follow. So again, if you can help us to spread the word.
And most people always ask, why do I have to pay for my dog license? Where does the money go to? The $2.50 is allotted to the Companion Animal Neutering Fund. That goes right to them. The 50 cents is allotted to the Department of Agriculture, Markets and Food for the operation of veterinarian diagnostic laboratory, which is established under the RSA. I'm not going to bore you with those numbers. The remaining funds after any loss or damages to domestic animals by dogs shall be for the use of the town or the city. So, we're trying to get more cost effective. We're trying to get more and more people to give us emails. We do not give any information out whatsoever. If you give us a phone number or an email, we never give it out to anyone else other than have it in our database.
Real quick, Mike, next page.
Oh, thank you. And a little shout out to our wonderful Dave Carver, because he's amazing, and he is helping everywhere between the police station and being with us, and he's doing a phenomenal job. More dog bites and things than people would realize that he has to deal with. So, yes.
And I think the only other thing we wanted to mention was that we do have a new item on our database now, that you can go into the town clerk's section under, if you click online services, you can do any dog renewal. You can do a brand new dog, you can do a renewal, you can upload your rabies certificate if we don't have it on file already, which is something new that just came out about 2 months ago, I would think, about like that. And the only thing we want to also stress is that sometimes people get dogs and they think, oh, well, nobody knows I have this dog. Well, sorry to tell you that the vets are required by the state to send us all rabies that are done. And I get those, and we do input them. So you'll get a little card from me that says, we know you got a dog, you got to register it. So please just don't disregard it, because we don't want those fees to get, overlapping.
And then our last slide that we have here is that we do have a leash procedure, I'd say, in town, and it's basically good manners. The humans having, good manners with their pets, especially up on our rail trails and our cemeteries. Dogs should be on a leash, and anywhere where there's public people, just for everyone's safety, your pets and all of the people that are roaming. And this, I share, this is one of Gigi's from home, but pick up after your pets
Please.
too. The fouling, it's very sad, unfortunate when we see people that even if they try to go into the grass and they think no one's going to see it, little kids are walking around, toddlers, other dogs. Feces that's left around can make dogs sick, and it happens all the time. So, these bags are very inexpensive on our rail trail. Let's all think of that and be courteous to each other. So that's all we have. We appreciate your time, and that's our town clerk minute, maybe 5 for today. For today. But thank you so much. It's all of us working together that makes it all come together.
And again, I'll reiterate what I stated earlier. earlier. Thank you to you and your department for all the hard work that you pour into this community. It is much appreciated, and not speaking for the council, but it is, we appreciate you guys. So thank you so much.
So much. It's an honor.
Thank you.
Means a lot to us.
All right, folks, Representative Thomas has requested, so we are in public comment. Representative Thomas has requested to come and speak before the council. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Doug Thomas, 143 Mammoth Road. It's a hard act to follow when you're following cute puppies and dogs and so forth. But on a more serious nature, I think everyone knows what's going on in the world right now, particularly in the Middle East and in around our campuses here in the state even and around the country. And we believe, the delegation in Londonderry believes it was time that we made a statement regarding these events, and every single elected representative here in town has signed on to this statement, and I'd like to read the letter that we have all signed up to.
Please proceed.
May 6, 2024. The New Hampshire House of Representatives adamantly rejects anti-Semitism, hate, and terrorism. These acts of violence taking place on college campuses are abhorrent, and we want to make it clear that we stand with Israel. House Speaker Sherman Packard once eloquently stated, quote, "As Americans, we believe that everybody deserves the right to live peacefully, to live authentically, and to be free. We are devastated by the atrocities that are taking place daily, and we pray for those suffering and for the innocent who have lost their lives during this inconceivable reign of terror," end quote. I echo these sentiments and believe we should be coming together and fighting against the common enemy, Hamas. As representatives, it is our job to ensure our constituents have a voice in the legislature and that their best interests are served to better our lives and to help shape the future of our state. In these trying times, it is now our job to make sure the Jewish community feels safe in their own homes and neighborhoods across the Granite State. It is our duty, as neighbors and friends, to support them both here and abroad. We, as a nation, know that these acts of protest and violence only perpetuate hate, and that hate cannot rule the day. We must stand together and reaffirm our promises to aid Israel and her allies in ways to bring peace. We support their efforts to eradicate terrorism and bring those currently living under fear of Hamas to safety. Today, let's reaffirm our support for Israel and our Jewish community and pray that humanity wins and that we can all live in peace with one another. In support, the Londonderry delegation, Rockingham District 16, Sherman A. Packard, Speaker of the House, Representatives David Lundgren, Douglas Thomas, Tom Dolan, Wayne McDonald, Ron Dunn, and Christine Perez.
Thank you. All right, folks, moving along in the agenda, a couple things I'd like to just point out.
Are we still in public comment?
We are in public
Making
comment.
sure that people know that.
Thank you, Ted. Moving along in the agenda, there are a couple things I'd like to point out, or I'd like to just lay some groundwork. So we're going to have a discussion on the petition warrant article number 18, which essentially is a vote by citizens petition to include public input at the start and the end of each meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, to the public to provide input and to please share with the council and the public why this is a good idea. There's going to be two parts of public comment. The first one is going to be on this topic only, and then we'll open up public comment will remain open and talk about other items that you desire. That being said, I'm not going to allow people to come up a second time during that same period of public comment. So once we let me explain that a little bit better. So you can come up, the public can provide input on Article 18, and then we'll have the general public comment for public comment. And but there will be no coming up twice. You can come up twice once for each individual thing, but not twice in each individual. Being that, if there's anyone that would like to speak regarding the petition warrant article number 18 only. And if I can, please come up. If I could just ask that all public comment please gets directed through the chair. Thank you. Name and address, miss.
My name is Deborah Paul. I live at 118 Hardy Road, and I am the person who submitted this petition. I went out and I gathered almost 50 signatures. I think it was like 48 for this petition. I also had done 4 other petitions, 3 which would be gathered together, like I said to you guys at deliberative. And I'm not really even quite sure why we're having this discussion as to see why it's important. It's important because the people voted on it. And people took the time to sign the petition to put it on the ballot. The 3 that I think they could be done very easily, which would be doing the will of the people, are the 3 that have to do with, and I'm sorry if I'm a little nervous tonight, I just have a lot on my mind, so please understand that. I forgot my train of thought. So the first petition, and I don't remember which article it was, the numbers, so again, forgive me. The first one was to have public comment at the beginning and end, which was an idea I got from you, the chair, Chad. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'm not doing well today. So that was a great idea because people come up and say things, but as the meeting goes on, topics get brought up, and you have a question about what was brought up, or you have input or some knowledge about something that could help. So you wouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to come back to a meeting to talk about something. It's a discussion, like you're saying, you want a discussion. That means a dialogue, a back and forth of what's going on. And that's where you find great ideas. And that is why I put that out there, because lots of times, for example, when we had the meeting on a Saturday for the Lions Hall, there was a gentleman at the end who wanted to say something, and he couldn't. And I'm not sure if he went up to you guys, but he was like, I would do half of that work for free. So that is important, to get those people up and talking and volunteering and doing stuff in our community. The second part of the second one was that all meetings are recorded.
So
Why are we discussing multiple articles?
thank you,
Because,
Ms. Paul. We are.
okay, I'll stick to this one. I was trying to make it easy so I don't have to come back here all the time and say these things. Number one, people voted for this one in particularly overwhelmingly. I don't know why you would want to squash public's opinion. To listen to people, that's your job, to listen to them. And the other thing is, it seems to me that all the other warrant articles pass and nobody asked the question as to, why was it a good idea to approve those extra firefighters? Why was it a good idea to do this or a good idea to do that? I've never heard that before in my life in the town of Londonderry. So for 24 years that I've been watching this and following it and writing about it, and even when I was on the council, did I ever hear anybody say that? Why is that a good idea? Or why is that a bad idea? The fact is, the people voted for it. And that's all there is to it. My question is whether or not you guys are going to do something and change it like you were going to do with the town treasurer. You were just going to change if it had passed, it would have just changed. People voted. Yeah, if they had voted yes, you guys would have just changed it in the charter to accommodate the voters. but that's not what happened. This is people voted, and you guys can accommodate every single one of those things in the charter to make it mandatory for all boards and committees to do this. Now, I will briefly, and I know this is kind of weird, talk about planning board and ZBA. I understand they're pseudo-judicial, and there are things that cannot be talked about in planning. And all of that would be having a small brief that the chair would say prior to the meeting at public comment, like you just did. For example, the chair would say, you know, this is public comment, please come up and bring anything you want.
30 seconds left, ma'am.
I would hope you'd grace me some period to speak tonight,
Please continue.
please. I'm asking you nicely.
Please continue.
Thank you. Now I forgot my whole train of thought. So you guys could do this. So planning could come and say, you can talk about containers on front lawns, you can talk about setbacks, you can talk about easements, you could bring up chickens if you wanted to again, just different topics that have to do with planning, right? You just can't talk about active plans or anything like that. So I guess I'm just not sure why you guys don't want to just move this forward and why you guys are having this discuss. I'm just trying to understand it.
Right.
I feel like
Can you please start wrapping up your comments?
I'm trying to.
Thank you.
I just feel that change is good, change is welcoming, and there is nothing wrong with having a public comment at a beginning and an end. It's not like the rooms are going to be crowded with people and your meetings are going to go so long because of it. And I think you even said it, Chad. You had them and hardly nobody spoke. So if nobody hardly shows up and speaks, what's the fear of having it?
All right, thank you. All right, folks, any other public comment on this item only? Name and address, you have 5 minutes, sir.
I won't take me 5 minutes. Daniel Bouchard, 8 O'Connell Drive, Londonderry. As somebody who comes to a lot to these meetings, I'm not opposed to having it at the end, because sometimes you hear these discussions, especially like around the budget time, you know, and you're discussing stuff, and you don't have a chance to say anything until the following meeting, which is kind of 2 weeks sometimes or a week later. So I don't think allowing people just to comment at the end would be a bad thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Name and address, please.
Ann Champa, 28 Wedgewood Drive. I thought about this before I voted, and I think I just don't understand why there's pushback from the council about this. That's what it seems to the public, like you don't believe it should happen. You want us to, express our opinions about what had happens. We did when we voted. We obviously did when we voted. We said that we wanted a change. We shouldn't have to be interrogated for you to learn why. John?
Excuse me.
Okay, well.
Please make comments directed to the chair and to the chair only.
Oh, okay. But anyways, the people voted, 2/3 of them voted for this. And I just wish maybe more people would be here if it was listed as on the agenda as concerning this topic and not just the number of the warrant article. So that might be bring in different opinions into this room. If in the meeting agenda, it just gives a hint of what the topic is about. Because most people wouldn't look at that. If they see Article 17 or 18, they wouldn't know what it was. But if you put what it's about, you might get more of an audience, and not the same people over and over who are dedicated to coming to meetings, because we feel it's our public duty. I want to thank you for giving us the chance to speak tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, just by way of clarification, so I actually did add language to the title of the article. I added the words public input, and then the entire article is included in the packet for
The
everybody's
agenda
information. Correct.
packet?
Yes.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Martha Smith, 38 Shasta Drive. I kind of agree with what's been said prior. The town council is elected by the people in this town to serve the people in this town. And frequently, I've seen, since I've started attending these meetings, that there are items that come up during discussion that, boy, I would have said something about that during public comment if I had known that that was going to be said. So I think having a short period of comment at the end of a meeting would be something that could benefit the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
I'd like to continue with the public, if that's all right,
Sure.
please. And then
Sounds good.
we'll save the councils for after. Thank you for your understanding. Name and address, sir.
Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire Court. I think the all part of this advisory warrant article is problematic. I think some is possible. All is not possible. In this chambers, for these meetings, can be done quite easily. However, I do want to say that when you start cherry picking the Bible of Londonderry, which is the town charter, the charter is the document that you read, you follow, and it's the marching orders, basically. When you start cherry picking parts of a document like that, you start to diminish the value of the whole. It's almost like the bottom of a stream that's running pretty rapidly. You look on the top and it's very smooth, and you say, how can it be smooth? And it's because on the bottom of the stream, all the rocks are all annealed together. Over time, they've all whittled their way down, and it's nice and smooth. So when you're rowing your canoe, on the top, it's nice and smooth. You start to pull rocks off, and the top of that stream gets all bumpy and wavy, and it's hard for someone like me that doesn't canoe very well to navigate. And I want to leave you with that vision in your head to understand that if you're going to start doing this, that you're going to run into problems, unanticipated problems, things that you didn't mean to do, unintended consequences when you start pulling things out. And so what I would think is a better idea, if you're thinking of moving forward with any of this, is that you just open up the whole charter. Have a charter review. Have a charter committee. And open up the whole thing all at once, make all the corrections that need to be made, get the public input on what they think needs to happen, and now you will come back to a very smooth river to canoe on. I hope I made sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? All right, seeing none, I'm going to open it up to the council for discussion.
I'd just like to say that I'm in full support of public comment at the beginning and the end. I tried to adopt it back in March and was told that we didn't want to do it as a council, but I am in full support of it. I don't see there any fear of the town council doing it. We could be the trial for the rest of the community. The voters did speak. They want us to do it. So I'm in full favor of the town council doing it at the beginning and the end, and I see no reason why we can't do that as a board and vote on it.
So I'd like to say, I can see how people in the town would feel that we voted on this and it didn't immediately get put in. Sometimes things with legal aspects, you have to actually look through and make sure, A, there's not unintended consequences, B, it's legal. And 3, some of these would involve charter changes, which equals, we'll have a 2-year process to go down this, maybe. So these do take a little bit of thought. I would like to say, though, I fully support each and every one of these. I support the will of the people that we voted on and try to get this through. And I also would support putting public comment at the end for town council meetings.
Any other counselors?
So just address one thing, 2 things, actually. Articles 1 through 16 had multiple hearings, multiple public hearings, multiple discussions. The petition warrant articles had no hearings, no public hearings, no discussion, and received little legal review. So why did 1 through 16 go forward? Because we had multiple hearings, multiple discussions, multiple public hearings. With regards to this, I'm in favor of opening the charter. Open it up completely. But that's not a decision we make lightly, nor do you make a decision lightly about public comment. The purpose of listening to the people is that this is the first time there's a discussion about these warrant articles. There was never a discussion before. So now we're having one. Let's see where it goes.
My only thoughts were is that all these items had to be legally done, would have had to have actually opened the charter and had charter changes. And that how they were put forward, we cannot legally change them. They're only advisory. So that is why we are discussing them right now, to hear people's thoughts, as John had said.
All right, so I agree with what John had said, regarding public hearings and comment and diving into things. So by law, because we have the required number of signatures from registered voters in the town, the council voted, again, by law, to put this on the ballot, as we did. This is the first true opportunity, not to challenge what is being said, not to challenge what is voted upon by the voters or the body or the registered voters of town, but to have a discussion. I don't have a problem continuing this discussion if that's what the council wants to do, consensus from the council, but there are, as Sean said, as Councilor Farrell mentioned, there's a process, there's a way to do this. And this is, in my 1 of 5 opinion, the first step of that. So what does the council want to do?
Go to the next warrant article at the next meeting. Go through the process. Opening the charter is a monumental task. If you actually implement these things and you actually read how the charter works, these become what they call major changes.
Mm-hmm.
The state's not going to let us do major changes without opening the charter. Let's go through the articles and explore if that's what needs to be done. You can't make a decision. It's like kind of like a doctor looking at, trying to figure out what's wrong with you. They send you for more tests. You need to do more tests and then find out, what the solution is and then try to make a good decision.
So if I hear you correctly, I believe what you're saying is gather all the facts for all of this, because opening the charter is monumental. And therefore, if we have all the facts, then we can make the best decision, because you can't cherry pick the certain things. If we're going to open it up, might as well open it all the way up.
Hey, it hasn't been fully open since 1996. I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
I think, though, we could do something towards the intent of this, and have public comment for us as a body.
Then you need a public hearing, and you need 3 meetings to get it done.
In order to...
You're changing the rules and the procedures of the town council.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So well, Ron, my point is by the time you do that, we could get through all these questions and then go ahead
But all at
and then
once.
try to figure out what to do. instead of picking them off one at a time. You could have one public hearing to do 5, to see if you want to do 2 things or 3 things, or have one public hearing to open the charter. You know, I'm gonna have surgery and operate on you tomorrow, but I'm not gonna look at the X-ray. I mean, you're triaging. Get all the information so we do it right and do it one time.
Okay. So again, I wanted to reiterate that this is not the challenge. This is to explore and solicit more feedback and to hear from the body that voted on this. So with that, I'll open continue to keep public comment open for general topics. Go ahead.
Dennis Martin, 182 Pillsbury Road. Mine's gonna be real quick because the Bruins are on. Right? Yeah, I don't know. You guys should have picked me first, but I'm actually this past weekend, and I bumped into Councilman Dunn, where they had beautified Londonderry, and they had 100 people, which is great, 100 volunteers, but that's not enough to clean this town. This town is filthy. Go down Pillsbury Road, go down Gilcrest, go down all of them. There's rubbish everywhere. So what I'm trying to find out is why are we not having the Department of Public Works take 1 month out of the year and do the major roads here to clean up the roads. And if that can't happen, I believe it can, but if that can't happen, then you can get prisoners to come and clean your roads. Now, people go, oh, prisoners. The prisoners that they use on these highways to clean the roads, they're not lifers, they're not doing time for life or anything like that. They've probably gotten a DWI, they're getting out anyways, but they get more time off if they go out for a day or so to get out even sooner. So they're not what we would call hardcore criminals that are done, like killed somebody or anything like that. So, we need to take care of this town. It's disgraceful. I went out one year to help beautify a couple years ago. I can't do it anymore because I was hurt in the military. It's hard for me to bend over, but I did it, and I did that Pillsbury Road all the way. I live on Pillsbury, all the way up to the curve there, heading out towards Market Basket, and that particular stretch always has rubbish. I don't know if there's a sign out there that says throw your rubbish here, but it's disgraceful. And we need to think about why can't the DPW do this all it would take is 1 month to clean out the major roads around here. 1 month, and I just thought that'd be something to throw out and then see if there's any discussion on that. And go Bruins.
Thank you for your service, sir. You're welcome. Anyone else?
Well, I spoke already. I was just trying to be polite. Okay. Deb Paul, 118 Hardy Road. I personally would like to be involved in these discussions since they were my petitions. I don't know if I'll be able to make council meetings because of my situation right now. This was a difficult one to be to, but I thought I would come to be nice and explain to people why I felt the way I did about putting these things forward. So that was my explanation of that. But I'd like to echo what Tony said. If you guys don't do anything within the next couple of months, really, not even next couple of months, the next month or two, you're going to be going into your summer meetings every other week or once a month. And next thing you know, we'll be in budget, and this will be kicked down the road even further. And then holidays, the next thing we know, a whole year has gone by and nothing happened to what the voters voted on. And so if that's the plan for this, I personally would like to know tonight, if possible, what is the exact route to open up the charter. If I have to get citizens to sign for it, I will. I will get it done in the time that it needs to be. I will send it to Mr. Malaguti and can write it up and how legal jargon it has to be in to to get those signatures, and I will get those signatures, whether I got to get 2,000, I'll get those 2,000 to 3,000 people that voted for it. And that I promise. And I will put it on the ballot, and then we will open it up. I did sit on another charter commission that worked on the charter, and I will run for charter commission. So, yeah, I think that that's great. Let's do it. So how do we do it? What do I need to do? Because I think we're just going to keep kicking this can. Discussion to me is a two-way conversation, Chad, and that's not what's happening. It's one person saying something, then you saying something back, and there's no dialogue. And that's not a discussion. That's just comments, you know. So if we're going to kick this down months out and not really move anywhere, then I think we should do what Tony just said. Open up the charter and look at it all. And maybe put in there that the charter should be opened every 5 to 7 years to keep it fresh. So if anybody could answer me, that would be wonderful. I'll stay here and wait.
Again, this is public comment, not
I
public
understand.
discussion.
I understand. But I'm asking a question that Mr. Malaguti or yourself or Mr. Farrell should know the exact procedure on what the next step is to open the charter.
So asking an opinion on the proceedings of how to open the charter is
I'm
something
not
that
asking an
needs to be-
opinion. I'm asking what is the process.
which without preparation,
Well, I would
to
think
answer
Mr.
the
Malaguti and Mr. Farrell should know that since they've done it. Well, he's done it, and I know Mr. Malaguti is a lawyer
and again,
and should be versed in the town's
putting someone
rules.
putting someone on the spot to answer a question on a legal process and a legal proceeding on how to do something.
So it's the process. Are we going to get the attorney in? And if I show up to the next council, will you have my answer to give to me publicly?
I think that's fair that we could have, provide feedback.
I
on
just think
how-
it needs to be done publicly, and that's what I'm doing. And that's why I'm saying it here, because every time I ask for information privately, I never get it. Matter of fact, I'm still waiting for the results from when I was on council of what the difference is between hiring HR and outsourcing it. I'm still waiting for that, okay? And it was brought up again, and I still never got it. And I see you shaking your head, John. I never got the
Please keep
results.
things.
My head at you.
Okay.
Can you
I'm not
please?
shaking my head at you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I have no problem with opening the charter. But just,
No, I'm just saying, I just want an
Hey,
answer.
can we please have?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I just thought he was upset with me for asking that question.
Not at all.
I just want to get an answer. I don't have a lot of time. My husband just had quadruple bypass surgery. I have to take him to the hospital tomorrow morning because now he has pneumonia, and I have to deal with a lot of stuff, and I don't have time to keep running down to town council to find things out or waiting for an email that I never get. So I'm asking for this publicly. As a citizen, I would hope that I would get respect, but as an ex-counselor and as the person who owns the newspaper, I think I deserve a little bit of respect, not a lot, just a little, and common courtesy. That's all I'm asking for. So I want to know what my next steps are.
Mike, would you be able to provide a response at next council's meeting on the process of opening the charter?
I mean, the answer is yes. I'm happy to do that. I think that we need to understand exactly what the proposal is. Because as Councilor Farrell pointed out, it does matter whether we're making a major change or a minor change. Is the question, how do I just open the charter to do a whole, review and make sure that, and propose any changes that need to be proposed? That's different than saying we're going to go forward with these warrant articles that passed. So we need more information from the petitioner in order to answer the question.
Mr. Chair, may I answer him?
Madam, you are 1 minute. You are at 6 minutes for public comment.
All right, just one
There are
thing I'm
other
going to say to
people-
him.
There are other people that would
I
like to
understand.
speak.
Mr. Town Manager, I would sincerely appreciate it if you would give me both options at the next meeting for the full charter and what it would be for just the ones necessary that were done by the voters. Is that possible?
Would you like me to answer, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Anyone else? Name and
Christine,
address, please.
Christine Perez, 5 Wesley Drive. This charter has been revised for you that are fairly new on the town council. It has been revised 6 times since 2020. The town charter has been revised 6 times since 2020. Just for your information, for you new people who it hasn't been revised underneath. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening. Name and address, please.
My name is John Perez, and I am the husband of Christine Perez. We live at 5 Wesley Drive in Londonderry. I'm not going to pose any difficult challenges to you. I'm just going to make a statement. In view of the way my wife was treated by a council member in the hallway during the council meeting on April 22nd of this year, I do not feel it is safe for her to attend any future council meetings without me attending for her protection. I find it is very sad state of affairs that in this town, a council member feels that he can bully and attack a citizen for telling the truth during public comments. Thank you.
Name and address, sir.
Again?
Excuse me, can we please keep the conversations?
Responding to people behind me.
May you please, if you choose, please take it outside so other people can speak. Thank you.
You're not taking away from my time now, are you? Okay. Daniel Bouchard, 8 O'Connell Drive. I got a couple things. First, I want to jump on what Councilor Farrell said about our health care insurance. Okay. I have to get my insurance through the town. Huge increase, almost $400 a month. So I was talking with my wife, and what I'd like the town to consider is not putting a committee together, but doing some brainstorming, okay? And how can we reduce our health insurance costs? Not by, I'm not suggesting by passing it on to the employees. What I'm looking at is how can we keep our employees maybe healthier? And maybe you have somebody on highway, somebody on fire, somebody on police, because they're all different. I mean, what a firefighter and a policeman experience is different from somebody a town clerk. Okay, so they might have higher risk of injuries. All right, how can we reduce those injuries? I'm just thinking out loud here because I know that when I worked for the town, we got our health insurance through Manchester because Manchester was cheaper, believe it or not, than Londonderry. And I'm like, how is that with all the employees they have? How can they be less for health care? So I'd like the town to look at that. And I know it came up during the budget process that we have a huge health care, going up, and John mentioned it. But how do we do that? How do we keep our employees healthier? Maybe how do we lower our healthcare costs? That was one thing. The other thing was I'm not opposed to receiving any money for grants. I think it's great. Okay, but I know that when we apply for a grant, it takes time for this grant to come around. We just got through town meeting. I don't know if there's a way of maybe putting a warrant article forward during the budget process that would say to the people, we can get a grant for a public works employee. Once that grant is paid, now he's going to become or she's going to become part of the default budget, and we're going to be picking up the tab. I don't know if that's possible, okay? But I know that we talked during the budget process that, and I hear it, anytime we add an employee, we bring it to the voters. Well, we add an employee when we receive a grant, and we don't bring it to the voters. So I just don't know how you would do that. I don't know if it's possible to do something like that. And my last thing is, I don't mean to pick on you, Chief, but When we talked about last week, last meeting, when I heard the comments about, we've got a grant coming through the police department, going to do X, Y, and Z. I know that when I worked there, we had to report to the town how many programs we did. I'm sure, Ted, when you were in school, the different programs you received in elementary school through myself and other officers that did programs like that. And I'd like for the town to see that. We don't see that anymore. It'd be nice to say we have an officer in the elementary schools and he does programs X, Y, and Z. I get frustrated when I drive down the road and I see a school bus with kids jumping up and down. I've called, the school board. I've called, the chief and said, what are we doing about this in the school? Because it's a safety issue. That's how I look at it. I know the middle school is different. What kind of programs do we have going on at the middle school? It'd be nice for people to know that. I mean, if we're investing money into school resource officers, I'm sure they're not just there as, for security, but they're also there to build that, bridge between our officers and, the public. So if
You
that
have
would
30
be
seconds, sir.
if that would be possible to try to get to see what kind of programs we have going on. I know we had a very rigid program when I started it back in the 80s, and I know it's gone down by the wayside. I don't know what's going on now, so that's what I'm asking you. My 30 seconds, thank you.
Thank you.
One more thing. Last meeting, where was the show? I couldn't find it on the TV. And I'm old school. I like to go on my cable and say, there it is.
Thank you, sir.
So I like to see it on my cable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Tom Esty, Londonderry, lifelong resident.
Name and address, sir.
I just said my name.
Name and address, sir.
9 Old Nashua Road.
Thank you, sir.
Over the last several years, I've seen an awful lot of yelling at town council, deliberatives, school boards, and it seems like it's the same people. We can all have our disagreements, but to yell at someone's wife, mother, daughter, that's bullshit.
All right.
Complete bull.
Mr. Esty.
There's
Mr.
no place
Esty.
for it. There's no
Sir?
no one. There is no repercussions. No one's ever reprimanded, scolded,
Sir.
whatever.
Can you please bring it down a couple notches?
No, listen, Chad. I'm sorry, but it pisses me off, and there needs to be something done
Tom,
about it.
I'm asking you to please don't add to the problem. Please. That's what I'm asking.
Because if someone ever spoke to my girlfriend or my stepmother that way, and I've had plenty of disagreements with my stepmother, there would be a problem with that person and me. No one deserves to be spoken to that way, period.
Thank you. With that, I am going to close public comment. So we'll reopen public comment. My apologies. I know that you came up and turned around when someone else. Thank you. Name and address, sir, please.
Yeah, Jim Butler, Danbury Court. Good evening, councilors. Good to see you. Sean, I hope that you're doing well and you're settling in.
Thank you.
All right, good. Okay. I'm going to change the subject a little bit, and I want to discuss the 91A rights. I know that the council, not necessarily you, Sean, had brought this issue up before and how we're going to approach it and how we're going to record it. People have the right to 91As, but people also have a right to know who's requesting them and how much it's costing the town. The town doesn't have a line item for 91As. And I think, nor did the budget committee talk about a budget for 91As. But I think if you look, it's costing the town a lot of money and money we have to go find, or you guys have to go find to cover the expenses, whether or not it's taken out of unfulfilled positions or whatever. You got to go find the money. So for full disclosure, I request that the town council report the following. Name and address of the requesting party, that's reasonable. The number of hours spent on the request by legal counsel, by the town manager, and any other town employee. Breakdown of those hours, and also the hourly rates that are associated with those different positions. And then finally, a total cost, a running total cost of the hours and the amount of money that the town is spending on 91As. I believe that this information should be put on our website for people to see. I think that's reasonable, considering we're the ones that are paying the taxes, and I have a right to see how much we're spending on it. And I think that people would be amazed at how much money that the town has already spent on this subject. What I would like is I would like a breakdown of this fiscal year, the expenditures for 91A, and also the previous year expenditures on 91A, so the public can see exactly how much money the town is spending and the time for town employees that should be probably doing other things to help us. So I would like to see some action on this, and I will be following up. Thank you very much, councilors. Good evening.
Mr. Butler.
Mr. Chair, may I ask our town manager a quick question?
Yes, please.
Town manager, are we able to provide this information with how the state law 91A works?
So the answer is, I mean, yes. I think it's an issue of we have started keeping better track of this information as we go. So, there are the requests that are fulfilled by staff. There are the requests that are fulfilled by legal counsel. And, legal counsel in the ordinary course may get a question or two here or there about 91A. That's not, broken off as a separate matter, and it may be difficult to break it off and to specifically quantify it, but you can get a pretty good idea. We have started, recently keeping better track of, okay, we got this big 91A request in, and we can tell that it costs approximately this much in legal and this much in staff time. So, there's no impediment in the 91A statute that I'm aware of that would prevent us from providing this information. It's just a process issue, if that makes sense.
Wonderful. I would like to see us move forward with that if we can.
My only concern would be if small ones, right to privacy and things like that, if it's above a certain threshold, I think it's great information to have in public. If we're getting to people that it's like one tiny document and it's not costing the town a significant amount of money, maybe we have a summation of that.
With all due respect, they have no right to privacy.
True.
And the last one we just fulfilled on Friday cost $25,000.
Yeah, those I have no issue.
They have, but anyone who files one has no right to privacy. As much as they're entitled to the information, anyone else is too. There is no right to privacy.
Yeah, I'm not saying they have a legal right. I'm just thinking for small ones, I don't know if it's worth, much less when you have information published, if you have too much, people don't read it. If you have the big ticket items, I think we can see that a little better and process that a little better.
So my question would be is who picks and chooses?
Well, you'd have a threshold amount, above or below.
Mr. Town Manager, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes. So, I mean, it's similar to what we've started doing pursuant to a vote that was taken by the town council. I can't recall exactly when, probably within the last 3 months or so. But you can see that we've started to fill in, the 24 and the 23 requests. 24 is up to date, and we just put up a 1,700-page request from 2023, and we're moving backwards chronologically. So this effort itself is not an insignificant lift, and so I do think that transparency. We talked about transparency. That it's good information to have, but it isn't. Doing this isn't free either in terms of staff time. So I think there's a balance there, but I just wanted to draw to everyone's attention that this resource exists. We are filling it in, but obviously there are other priorities as well. And so, we're getting to it as we can.
So, you just reiterate what you said. We are fulfilling the request per one of the previous residents' comments. There is labor involved in providing that information as well.
Yes.
And we are doing it. It just takes time.
Correct.
Thank you.
So it seems like the only column you're missing is the value number.
Correct. And, like I said, we can, as a staff, it's easy enough for us to keep track of our time spent on these matters, and some of us are already doing that. But, I think that it becomes trickier. We don't want to open a new legal matter for each 91A request that's received. So we just need to work with legal to break out what matter is being worked on. And I've had that discussion recently with council as well.
Thank you. All right, 2 more people, and then we're going to close public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire Court. Separate item. At your last meeting, we heard quite a bit about the people have spoken. And they have. In March, you got a report card. And the Budget Committee got a report card. And as a former teacher, had I been grading that report card, y'all got a really good grade. Because the townspeople voted with you more than a dozen times on both the school side and the town side. And I've already had this conversation on the school side. This is a new Londonderry. It's 2024. People not only voted for the budget, they voted more than a dozen times in favor of increasing the tax rate. They voted in favor of articles that would raise the tax rate or have potential to raise the tax rate. You lost pickleball, school district lost 2 brick and mortars. But all the other articles passed. Several of them had no impact. The Budget Committee, who are voted by the townspeople, by the taxpayers, into those positions as watchdogs, helped guide people in their voting. And the people listened. And what that report card tells me as a grader of report cards is that the people of Londonderry are very happy with the level of services that they're getting. Not only that, they decided that they wanted even more and that they were willing to pay for it. You all need to keep that in the back of your minds. And you need to understand that it's a compliment to the Budget Committee and to what was the sitting board at that time. But keep in mind, they're happy with the level of services, thousands and thousands and thousands. They don't all vote, but they're there. If they weren't happy, they'd be here screaming. But this is a new place. This is a new Londonderry. For that reason, I would suggest that you open up the entire document of the town charter, start over, make sure it's the will of the people for 2024. That's not my mother calling. She likes it when I speak in public. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Breslin, you name and address, sir.
Ray Breslin, 3 Gary Drive. We've heard a lot here tonight. Public comment, 91A, all of that. If we didn't get anything out of this, it's about communication. Now, it can be said that everybody's happy, the general public's happy, and there's no problems, and I would like to think that's the case, but there are concerns. there were issues that we, the taxpayers, and you folks are going to have to deal with, particularly water and sewer, but let's not get into that too deep. Let's get back to 91As. Personally, I would like to know how much of a problem this is. Are all kinds of 91As coming forward and the town is having to deal with it? Is it costing a lot of money? I'm hearing it's costing a lot of money. How much is it costing? I personally would like to know. I think if the citizens or anyone has a question about something, then that communication should take place perhaps by social media, by an email, what the concerns are, keep it simple, send it forward, and if it's not a real legal matter, that it's simply a question that the town has on file. It's not going to take a lot of time. We know where it is, and it can be brought forth, and it can be responded to. Now, that may not be the case in all situations. I don't know what it is. Is that a huge problem that the town is dealing with? Is it costing a lot of money? Is it costing me a lot of legal expense? The point is, we need to have better communication. If maybe we need to have where we have an event on the town common, where, like Old Home Day, yeah, something like that. Okay, where we can have discussions. What do you think? I think we should. I think we've made some good steps, and I think we can do more. And we don't need to be on two different sides. We can all work together. And thank you for what we all attempt to do.
Thank you. All right, with that, I'd like to close public comment.
So moved.
We're not motioning on it, we're just closing it. I do want to say something real quick. So, I heard a lot, and council can share their thoughts. But, look, someone who's been in the combat before, I've seen some pretty gnarly things in my life. Things that people that aren't things that people aren't made to see. And I have a saying, no one's dying, no one's getting hurt. Everything else other than that is okay. I heard tonight that, it's not fair to attack someone's wife. Well, is that a two-way street? Because last time I checked, respect should be earned and given. And if someone was attacking my wife, regardless of who that person was, I'll be sure to advocate for my bride, because that's what we do. So, with that, is there any other additional comment from the council? All right, seeing none, we're going to move things around a little bit. I'd like to request to move up ordinance 2024-02. I'll accept the motion to open up our public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Division Chief Johnson, are you ready, sir, to present to the council? Absolutely. All right, please come forward. Ted, I'm going to step out for a moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Chief, since I'm one of the few counselors who have been through this with you before, and I do love to hear you go through them one by one.
Yeah.
I would kindly request that you would just highlight the areas that you'd like to change.
Well, working with the town and the town's legal counsel, we've come to the realization that my predecessors, when they brought forward regulations to the town, never had them formally adopted by the town council. So currently, we don't have regulations. So if you're looking at what the
problem.
major changes are, it's the entire document. We've had regulations that we thought we were following, that was an ordinance, but going through everything legally, it was never formally adopted. So this document isn't an update, it's nothing changing legally, it is a new document.
Did we have anything not, I guess, in place, but not officially in place that you guys were following?
A lot of this we were unofficially following, but a lot of this is just sort of clarification. Some of it is what's already adopted by the state of New Hampshire with NFPA 1 and 101, which is state fire code and the life safety code. This is just some clarification for things such as NFPA 1 states that we can require a certain key for fire alarm panels. So we told them what kind of key we wanted. It wasn't major things. One of the bigger things is that we've always required radio boxes to transmit directly to us for fire alarms. Now with the new documentation, you're allowed to do radio boxes that transmit directly to the fire department, or if you so choose, go to a private alarm company with what's called an AES radio box. So they have an option of, instead of just going through us, they can go through a private alarm company as well.
Well, the real benefit here will be is having these actually in place will be enforceable instead of them saying, oh, this was never
Absolutely.
actually voted on. This isn't, you can't hold me to this.
During my tenure here, I guess I've been good that no one has challenged this, because I guess this probably would have come out a long time ago. But
than good, Chief.
you know, I think a lot of it also is that our regulations aren't something that are out of the ordinary or extraordinary for this part of, what we're looking for is pretty much what every other town around here requires.
Wonderful.
So most of these things that are in here, other towns are already doing. Contractors are used to doing them. They're, it's just, we want it documented. This is exactly how we want things done in Londonderry.
So in our 40, almost 50 years that the fire department has been a professional fire department, we never had this document in place, something similar?
We had a document back in the 90s, which was very vague. Like I said, my predecessor is the one who kind of started the larger document. I know I sat here with him. We went through the process of the first reading, but according to the town, there is no documentation of when that was ever adopted. So we did have a document back in the 90s that was very vague. It pretty much said which codes we adopted, things like that.
Are you following all of these items right now and having people and businesses in town follow these right now?
Not all of these. Some of them are updated. Like I said, with the radio boxes, they're allowed to go to a private alarm company. There is, what we are also looking at is charging a fee for the monitoring through Londonderry. Right now, we monitor almost 300 radio boxes in town. To go to a private alarm company, the best rate we could find is over $1,000 a year to monitor fire alarms. And then you usually have to rent their equipment. We're looking for $400 a year monitoring, and that's because that goes in line with Hudson, Derry, Manchester, what they're charging. And this is to help provide equipment, personnel, whatever it may be, to keep our system up and running. When we built our new station, we put in $60,000 of new monitoring equipment for the radio boxes. Unfortunately, that had to come out of the fire department's budget. We're looking at having that fee in here, so that way the subscribers are the ones paying for the service, not every taxpayer. Some of the things that are a little bit changed is we are now going to require a stretcher-sized elevator in multi-story buildings. If you're putting in an elevator, one of them has to be big enough to put a stretcher in. The code requires that in certain buildings, anything over 4 stories, medical facilities, things like that. But if you go to Bridle Path, you go to McGregor Court, we can't put a stretcher in there unless we stand it up. You can only imagine how hard it is to try to do CPR on somebody standing up. And this way here, it gives our guys the tools they need to protect the patients, to be able to do CPR, whatever is required to get them out of that building without either stopping CPR while the elevator goes down or them trying to lift the gurney up and you're doing CPR up against the wall.
How much larger of an elevator would that be?
It's a couple feet wider. It's actually.
It's in line with the NFPA standards.
It is
Right. Correct.
it's the EMS required elevator that's required in medical facilities and multi-story buildings over 4 stories.
Just want people at
The
home to know
language
how
is
much
pretty much
big of an
covered.
elevator you need.
One at a time, please.
Salem and other towns have this exact verbiage. And like I said, it's the exact NFPA language. It's just saying that if you're gonna put in an elevator, one of them has to be this big. Because right now, if you're 4 stories or under, you can put the smaller elevator.
I was just saying that I want people at home to know how much bigger of an elevator they really need. And if these facilities don't actually have them, how much smaller of a space it really is. That
you have to
they
step-
can't accomplish what they need.
You have to stop thinking about it as a traditional elevator. What they do is in a lot of these, they may even add a third elevator, and it becomes, the move in, move out elevator. So
Freight.
people are, treat it like freight or something along those lines, where it's not necessarily an everyday passenger elevator, which we probably would prefer anyway.
So, folks, this is a public hearing. Is there any questions from the public regarding Resolution 2024-02? Mike, do we have to read the?
No.
We did waive the first reading on the 22nd.
You can proceed to adopt it.
Okay.
I'll make a
And
motion to
we've-
adopt the ordinance as presented.
All right. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, council, I'm gonna, again, move things real around. So I'm gonna take, what I'd like to do is I'd like to hear from the senior, from Lori Miller, who is here for the uncontested Senior Resource Committee 3-year alternate member. So with that, I'm gonna temporarily close public comment. I'll ask for a motion to do that.
So moved.
Second.
In a second, do all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, chair votes in the affirmative. Ms. Miller. So good evening.
Good evening.
So traditionally, what we do is we allow the applicant to state a little intro if you'd like. We can lead in, followed by questions from the council. And just a reminder, this is this is for the 1 3-year alternate member position. Correct, Mr. Town Manager?
That's correct.
All right. So with that, Ms. Miller, the floor is yours.
Sure. I'm Laurie Miller. I've lived in the town since 1995. I've noticed that the town has gotten older and the resources for seniors have gotten, I don't see a whole lot around. I feel that personally, as I get older, I want to see more things, not only for rides for seniors or ways that they can get together as their loved ones pass away, but even other things that they can mix with the younger people in the community so they don't feel so isolated. And that's what makes me want to be a part of the resource committee. I'm not exactly sure of all the responsibilities or what the resource committee is, what they do on a regular basis or how often they meet or any of that, but I am interested in bettering what we have as a community for our seniors.
Ms. Miller, you said you're available 2 meetings per month?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the council?
No, I'm just excited to see that someone's passionate and willing to help and find different ways and resources and provide new ideas to the Senior Resource Committee. I mean, it's great to see that someone's just so passionate
Thank
and
you.
wanting to get out there.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for stepping up and volunteering.
You're
and I
welcome.
think the alternate position is a good way to learn. So,
Last I heard, there was no scrubbing floors, so I'll make a motion to accept you.
I am not.
I'll
I
second.
am not above
All right, so-
scrubbing floors.
Thank you. So I have a motion from Counselor Farrell, second from Counselor Dunn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative.
Thank
Please
you.
see the town clerk to be sworn in. Thank you. All right, with that, moving back on the agenda, I'll accept the motion to reopen public hearing for Resolution 202 hearing Resolution 2024-0.
Take that motion.
Yes, sir.
If the council wouldn't terribly mind, we send the moderator home.
I would have no problems
If
with that.
that's okay with everybody.
I'm okay with it. As the council seems to be
Well,
good.
we need to, do we want to send him home and speak about this at another time, or do we want to
Well,
have
I'm
him?
saying
No,
let's
I
have
think
him
we
come
should
on
move
up
it
so he can
forward.
go home.
Thank you.
I think
I wanted to clarify what you wanted to have done.
I think what Counselor Farrell is asking is to move the presentation from the moderator
Yeah,
up in
since
the
you're gonna
agenda.
jump around, let's
I'd,
send
I'd
the
like
poor guy
to,
home.
we're gonna jump around. At this time, we'll call the moderator and Madam Town Clerk, if you'd like to come up and present to the council. Again, just a reminder, folks, this is not a public hearing, just under new business. Thank you. Mr. Moderator, Madam Clerk, good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
And thank you for the consideration. So, members of the council, I'm Jonathan Kipp, Town Moderator,
Sherry Farrell, your town clerk.
and what I'm asking for tonight is for the council to vote to adopt the Voting Works VX Suite 3.1 open source electronic ballot counting device for use in Londonderry elections. And I'm going to give you some background around the request. Sherry and I have been in discussions with the Voting Works folks now for quite a while. And here's the reason why. First of all, a reminder that we can only use voting machines, voting devices, voting tabulators. I use the term synonymously. We can only use devices that have been certified by the Ballot Law Commission. We can't go to the vote counting machine mall and just pick out one we want. And right now, there's been some changes. So 6 months ago to the day, November 6th, I sat here and asked the council, the previous council, to adopt the Dominion ImageCast Precinct 2 device that we had piloted in a prior election. On November 9th of this year, the Ballot Law Commission decertified that device due to Dominion software modifications, and instead they conditionally certified an updated version, which is now subject to additional testing. At the earliest, this updated Dominion device will be ready for the March 2025 election, but that's not even guaranteed. So Dominion devices are not available in New Hampshire for the fall elections this year, September state primary, November general election. When we learned that, we reached out to Voting Works, which is the other certified device in New Hampshire, and they have satisfactorily completed all the conditions required by the Ballot Law Commission for their device to be used in New Hampshire elections. And then on March 12th of this year, 5 different communities, which are listed for, you successfully used those devices, and now there's a movement, more communities, my understanding is, are also going to Voting Works.
So, just to clarify what has previous said, so the state of New Hampshire had certified 2 voting machines, previously certified 2 voting machines when you came before the council. How many years ago? Or how?
6 months ago to the
thank
day.
you. And it was the Dominion and the Voting Works. Since then, due to an update of their software, the state Secretary of State's office has decertified their voting machine and continued, and the certification continues on the Voting Works. Is that correct?
That is
correct.
Close, yes.
Close.
Yep.
Where am I off?
They both were conditionally certified based on testing.
Thank you.
So that preliminary certification has now been revoked for Dominion.
Understood.
Voting Works remains certified.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please continue.
So we have options. The first one is to just continue to use our current AccuVote machines, which, as you've heard numerous times before, are near the end of their life. And I want to make it clear that LHS Associates, our longtime partner for election equipment, They also handle our poll pads, which are an unrelated product, our voter check-in devices. LHS has committed to doing the best they can, do everything they can to support our AccuVote devices through the end of this calendar year. Our second option is to lease 4 Voting Works devices for use in September and November of this year. And through discussions with Justin and the town manager, we were able to negotiate a cost of the lease and the associated ballot programming at roughly $3,825, which would be combined for the 2 elections. And for comparison's sake, that's maybe $200 or $300 or $400 more than we would have paid LHS to program our AccuVote machines. So the money, for the most part, is already in the budget for programming ballot machines.
Mr. Kipp, is
Yes.
that per machine or is that all together?
Total. Thank you. Good question. Total for 4 machines and the programming.
Thank you.
Yep. Before I came to you tonight, I also spoke at length with the Secretary of State's office to ensure that this path forward is acceptable to them, and indeed it is. The only thing they need from Londonderry is a letter outlining what the town council chose to do, whether to adopt or not. The second thing is, we're not allowed to do it on a trial basis. The machines are now approved. We can't trial them, which we did when the ballot law commission was trying to determine which ones to certify. So Secretary of State's office said lease. So that's what the arrangement we've worked out. I also want to let you know that I've spoken with Jeff Silvestro, the president of LHS Associates. I wanted him to hear this from me before I approached you tonight. So he's just prepared, whichever way we choose to go tonight. So following the fall elections, I suspect we'll have more information. We'll be the only community in the state that I'm aware of that will have actually used both the Dominion device and the Voting Works device in actual elections. We'll have had that experience. Our voters will have had the opportunity to check out both machines, and it'll be closer to learning where Dominion sits. I also want to make clear this is not an LHS issue. This is a Dominion issue. LHS is their vendor in New Hampshire.
So I have a couple of questions for you, Jonathan.
Yes, please.
Voting Works is out of where? Where do they headquarter out of?
Their manufacturing takes place primarily in California, but they're a decentralized organization. They have staff all over the country.
So they incorporate out of California?
That's a question, John, I don't know the answer to.
So, all right, well, I'm just
I will say their executive director lives less than an hour from here in northern Massachusetts, which is...
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you. So are you aware of any other towns of our size that will be using Voting Works?
No, we'll be the largest. I do believe that the city of Rochester has adopted and chosen to purchase, I believe, Voting Works machines. But since they're divided into so many wards, none of the wards are as big as Londonderry will be.
I don't know. Ted, did you work the 2020 election?
No.
The one where we stayed, the one where the machines broke down?
That was,
Yes.
who's that?
So.
Actually, no, I did not win that election in 2020, right before that.
So
Chad?
we were.
I was.
Yeah,
There.
we were all there till
You
5
were
o'clock. in the
volunteering.
morning.
You weren't in town council at the time in 2020.
Right.
That is correct. I was
Right, so-
standing in for.
Just so you guys know, we have to be there until the election. It's like a meeting. You have to be there until everything closes. So we have to be there till the sun came up.
Yep.
So the reason I'm telling you that is because the next question I'm going to ask is if we decide to use Voting Works, can we have 5 machines, not 4? Just because I'm superstitious and I don't, just in case. And I'm asking the question. I'm not saying to do it.
Here's the answer to that question, John. And it's going to talk around the issue, and then I'll answer your question. I believe the Voting Works machines will be more reliable than our AccuVote machines, which is the risk I'm taking by suggesting this. If a machine breaks down, they will have a spare machine for us on site. If we want 5 machines, we can pay for 5 machines and just put them all in service at the same time. But if we have 5 machines and one breaks down, we'll have a 5th one to replace it.
I guess I'm just trying to hedge the bets based on what happened the last time, and the reason why I asked the question about where they're located is that they don't have the bench strength that LHS has that was able to help us that night, and that's the reason I'm asking the question.
And it's a good question. According to the certification by the Ballot Law Commission, any vendor who's going to provide voting machines in New Hampshire is required to have somebody available to be at any voting site within 2 hours of a call. We will have somebody from Voting Works at our polling place.
2 hours?
2 hours
Thank you.
is what the law says. Voting Works is committed to having somebody on site from open till close.
Okay, thank you.
With spare devices. So my recommendation is we go with 4.
And I just was asking the question.
Anyone else from the council?
Now, you had done a preliminary view of the 2 different devices, and you both were in favor of the Dominion device. My memory is a little fading upon your opinion on the Voting Works machines.
It's a good question, Councilor Combs. November 6th, I did recommend the Dominion machine for 2 primary reasons. One is LHS's demonstrated record of service and support, and we had no clue how Voting Works was going to do. They were brand new at the state at that time. They have since had 5 communities buy their product. They serviced them successfully, had successful elections in March, and they're expanding as well. So I'm confident they can now deliver the service if required, especially since they've committed to having somebody on site for us. The second reason was the Dominion machine physically separates ballots with write-in votes, and then we look at those manually. The Voting Works machine does not separate the ballots physically. What they do is their reader, their software, their scanner, thank you, Sherry,
Live scans?
separates those, and then we adjudicate the write-ins with a laptop. They just appear on the screen, and we count them that way. I wasn't initially in favor of that. However, our AccuVote machines no longer accurately separate write-ins from non-write-ins. So at the March election, we had to look at every single ballot to make sure we caught all the write-ins. That would go away, even though they're not physically separated. I have a lot of confidence we'll be able to see the write-ins without having to handle every ballot.
And if I remember correctly, one of your big concerns was, if we did have an issue, is that they didn't really have the staff in the region to be able to support us. Has that been more resolved, you believe, or no?
I'm going to repeat myself and say that they're required by law to have somebody to be able to respond within 2 hours to be on site. Now,
Yes, the problem remains is if there's multiple communities that are having issues.
right, well, we're going to have a dedicated person all day
Okay.
as part of the lease agreement. So that won't be an issue for us.
Okay. All right. What does the council want to do?
And I think we can move forward with the temporary lease situation and then reassess after that and get our data in, and as well at the same time see if they've resolved their issues with Dominion at the state level, hopefully.
All right, so with that, I'll take a motion. Motion, correct?
Motion.
I'll take a motion to adopt the move forward or proceed with the Voting Works electronic ballot counting devices lease. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you both for your continued dedication to the election integrity and voting of this community.
We appreciate your support too. Thank you
Very
so
much so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
You guys didn't want to do a hand count.
What's that? Yeah, I'll set with that.
I was waiting for that.
Mr. Town Manager, please have a letter drafted per moderators.
Certainly.
All right, so with that, I'll accept a motion to reopen public hearing for our resolutions. Do I have a motion on the floor? Do I have a motion to reopen public hearings?
Motion to reopen public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. This public hearing, Resolution 2024-08, acceptance of unanticipated revenue. Mr. Malaguti.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is very simply money for additional police patrols for the highway safety program.
All right, any questions from the council? With that, I'll accept the motion to adopt Resolution 202-08, or 2024-08. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt Resolution 2024-08.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Resolution 2024-09. Mr. Malaguti.
Mr. Chair, this is $108,648 in additional one-time highway block grant funding from the state. It'll be used to maintain and repair our roads and bridges.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the council?
Do we have any further idea how they plan to spend this money? Or is it just going to their general fund?
No idea yet how they plan to spend it, but they do chart out every year what roads are sort of on the list and what they're planning to do. And so I can certainly provide some more information for you about that. But I know that they looked at the roads. They have a list for this year's season. And, you know, there's never enough money for roads and bridges, but it'll go to good use.
Great, thank you.
All right, so with any other discussion from the council or questions? With that, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 2024-09.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Resolution passes. New business. Resolution 2024-10.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Is this technically under public hearing, or is this new business? Because it's...
No public hearing required on this, given the amount that we're accepting.
All right, so with that, I'll accept the motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Public hearings is now closed. New business resolution 2024-10. Ms. Malaguti.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is the revenue generated from the rabies clinic that the council is accepting tonight.
All right, any questions from the council?
No, I think we had a good presentation by our town clerk earlier.
Agreed. All right, with that, I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
I have
Second.
a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2024-10 is adopted. All right, old business. So, Mr. Malaguti, real quick, I see in my packet a sewer rent levy. That's not on the agenda, or is it?
It's not on the agenda, Mr. Chair. I'm actually not. I'm hearing that for the first time. So
Okay, so we'll
I
hold
could
off on that.
speak to you offline about that.
Yep. All right. Old business. Is there any old business?
None this evening, Mr. Chair, from me.
All right. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to adopt or approve April 22nd, 2024 council meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Minutes are approved. Liaison reports from the council.
I have one. We had a good weekend on Beautify Londonderry. We had over 100 people come out. Really good weather. We had good participation. And next year, we want to try to go back to doing more weekends. We had a lot of people ask us if we were going to do 3 weekends again. So we're going to try to do more weekends than just one. But we had really good participation, and thank you for all the volunteers.
Thank you.
As far as planning board, in addition to our regular meeting this week, we have a special meeting on Thursday for the PUD on Technology Hill.
Okay, thank you.
We have update for the council since I was asked to negotiate the Arcadia Health POD. We are very close. It was made clear by me to the planning board that if we cannot reach agreement, there won't be a project.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have put our demands in, and our attorney, Attorney Carrier, is speaking with their attorney, Attorney Pollock, and as I learn things, I'll keep you up to date.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? All right, I just have a quick one. I did attend last Wednesday's planning board meeting. We did continue a couple items as well as conditionally approve the site plan. Is that correct?
Yes.
For Arcadia Health, and I did Councillor Farrell did come up several times just to share that he has diligently worked through our attorney, with our attorney, in the Katy Health Council to make sure that our first responders, our community, is continued to be in a safe situation. So I wanted to thank Councillor Farrell for doing that. And the school board has not met since our last meeting. So with that, town manager report.
Very quickly, Mr. Chair, a couple of items. One is, as you're probably aware, there was a pretty significant emergency call for service in Derry that Londonderry responded to mutual aid over the weekend. We did that with Salem, and together with Derry and Salem, Londonderry companies were able to provide some significant advanced life support for a victim. So we're fortunate to have those resources and have that training, and so I just want to give a shout out to not only Londonderry Fire, but Derry and Salem as well. I actually heard from somebody in Derry about this, how well our companies performed, so my hat off to them. And then, I want to mention through your leadership, Mr. Vice Chair, we've jumped on the playground issue. We have had the playground inspected, are expecting a mulch delivery soon, and then we'll be back at the next meeting with a comprehensive look at the existing conditions at the playground and also some options that the council can consider going forward. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Chair Combs and the town staff for looking into that. Assistant Town Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last week, I submitted a grant application through the New Hampshire HOP grant, Housing Opportunity Planning is what that stands for. And hopefully we will receive those monies to use towards review of our land use regulations.
All right, thank you. All right, folks, this concludes our meeting. Our next...
One last thing, just to
Yes,
follow
sir.
up on the 91A thing. We have spent, if I've been tracking this right, over the last couple of years, over $100,000 in legal fees in 91As. So I think it is a good idea for them to bring that number forward to us. And I opened with that we need to focus on the positivity and the good things and the greater good. And we need to move away from the negative connotations and the personal attacks. And then we need to move forward as a council doing the positive things. Regarding the charter, it is a complex process which the state regulates, and there's a lot of moving pieces. While the town manager may be able to offer some suggestions about how to go about it, the town council has the full authority to open the charter, but it is also a complex process. So my suggestion is that, and I'm not opposed to it, but my suggestion is you take your time, you do it right. It will probably not get opened again for another 30 years, so we better do it right. And I think Mr. DeFrancisco made some excellent points. Trying to pick them off one at a time, or as someone else said, it's been revised 6 times. I think someone who uses I think there's like an old comic called Nilly Willy. You know, if we're going to do it, let's tackle it and do it right. My personal opinion, but thank you.
I will add on to that, that I was looking through our documents, is that it has not been revised over 6 or I believe maybe more times than that were described since 2020. The last time it was revised was in 2020, and it was regarding how things are done on the budget itself, and that was it. And I will say, bring forth things on the positive side, which is why we push forward for the monthly updates from the town and where the lantern got developed out of, which I think has been a great piece for the town community and be able to shine light on our
reviews on it.
It is, and we're able to shine light on different departments, different people, different things that's happening around town. I mean, our administrative assistant, Kirsten Hillidan, is just doing a wonderful job on that, and how she's able to bring forth the light in the town that we have of all the great things that's happening.
Yeah, we just need to be smart and be careful. Just because something's said in public comment doesn't make it true.
Correct.
So we need to we need to focus on positivity. Sadly, driving revenue, and and the safety and welfare of the community. maybe some of you may not have heard me say this before, but there's really 5 or 6 things to focus on. And the guy's right. Picking up the trash is a big deal. Plowing the roads is a big deal. Keeping the kids safe in school. And you want our emergency services to be well prepared and to show up in an expedient manner and help people. That's what we're about. These other things that I mentioned, they're all really important. But we have great people doing great things. Let's highlight that.
All right, folks. So with that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Again, reminder, May 20th is at 7 p.m. is our next council meeting. Again, please remember your town clerks, for it is Town Clerk Week this week, and our appreciation for their diligent and hard work.
Also Nurses Week.
And Nurses Week, absolutely. So with that, all in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. All any opposed? None. Motion passed.